everybody. Steve Dunn, Natali Marmion, PNC Live Studio. I haven't seen you for a while.
It's been a long time. Did you need another couple weeks break from me, or are you good? You went home. You went home. You saw the family. When we last left you, last we heard, you were going to a family reunion, but you didn't know the address. You didn't know where they were going to be.
Well, they move every time.
Right. So you found them.
My parents, I go knocking on doors. No, I think they're down here. I had a great time. You ever been to Mackinac Island,
I have
Michigan?
not. But you sent me a picture, and it's postcard.
Grand Hotel.
Perfect.
Spectacular.
It's just idyllic. Beautiful.
It's smack in the middle of Lake Huron. One of the Great Lakes, of course. You take a little ferry about 15 minutes over. No cars allowed. Wow. All horse carriage, bicycles. Beautiful, beautiful spot.
And bright blue. It looked like you had great weather.
Great weather. Yeah. Saw the family, mom and dad, still doing well. Brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, you name it, all back there. So it's great, but it's good to be back. How you been?
Good. It's been smoky here. You missed a lot of poor air quality days here. It's been super smoky. A little bit, and I'm not far from the historic building downtown that erupted in flames.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that tested positive for asbestos. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. Waiting for that to drop at any point. They stopped trains for a while because they were afraid the rumbling of the train would drop the building.
Really?
It's so unstable. And then another headline said there's a big water tower on top, and they said if and when that thing falls that tower could go down NATO like a bowling ball.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm here. I've been waiting for that to happen.
You're ready for it, aren't you?
But they're going to start the trains up again, and they're afraid it could bring it down before they have a plan to implode it. So
maybe
I've been watching that, but it's been smoky. I should probably leave town and watch this because if I'm nearby, something's going to go sideways for me.
And we'll be talking about that next week's show for sure.
We do need something to talk about, but it has been smoky. I'm glad the wind's shifted because it's been tough for a lot of people who have health issues and couldn't get outside. So it's beautiful summer now.
Well, we have a guest on today that whenever I hear his voice, I feel like buying something. Seriously. I don't know
what car or some other things.
Make sure you tell them that.
Seriously.
You will definitely recognize his voice, though, for
Mike
many
Barrett
years.
is here with us today.
Welcome, Mike.
Let's hear everybody.
Longtime friend.
And it's funny when you don't report the news anymore. She has to explain to you these big fires and buildings. Because normally you'd be talking about it.
I don't pay attention like I used to.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you for Let me tell you the headlines.
Isn't that nice to not have to know the news all the time?
Well, I just call Natali whenever I need to know anything.
I only know a couple of things. Most of the time.
She knows. Mike Barrett, of course. Let's explain to the folks at home who aren't familiar with this guy. There aren't many, I'm sure, that
all Blazer fans will be.
Blazer fans know this guy. Long time. 13 years with the Blazers, weren't you?
17.
17 years total?
Total.
Wow.
Yep.
The voice of the Blazers.
How much fun was that? And how involved were you? I mean, you were 17 years. How did that evolve? What did you do with them?
Man, it was fun. Well, the funny thing is here we are in a KXL product, and I was at KXL from 92 to 99. And then Blazers came I was on the Oregon Duck broadcast team. My last broadcast on KXL was the Sun Bowl in 99, which was Millennial Eve.
Oh, wow.
So I remember we landed back in Eugene, and I was driving back home when it hit the hour where everybody said it was going to be Armageddon.
Right.
And it was like, nothing happened.
We made it back, yeah.
But anyway, I had gone to work for the Blazers in that fall, and then I not only was doing, and I was hired there to do pregame, halftime, postgame, Courtside Monday, editor of Rip City Magazine, helping with the website, wrote the game program, and then was the play-by-play and radio broadcaster of the Portland Fire, the first Portland Fire.
Right.
That for 3 years. And then after those 3 years, then I got moved into the Blazers chair, the play-by-play chair.
Deep roots with this team. When you see everything happening now, how does that hit your heart?
Yeah, it's strange to see. And I feel sad in some ways for the angst it's causing. But I also have been one that has been around it enough where I think it'll all work itself out. I think oftentimes, be it a work stoppage, a strike in sports, the emotions of the fans are a very nice tool to use for whichever side would like to use them. And they get drug into these messes, their emotions, and that's why they're fans, fanatics. And so I think that at the end of the day, and again, I could be wrong because I remember back in the day, and I hate to bring this up, we were broadcasting, games Blazers Sonics. And I remember being in Key Arena before a game, talking to their broadcast guys and saying, I just never believed that they could possibly move. And everybody was talking about Clay Bennett and the Oklahoma City, and The odd thing about that is, and this is not to get off on a tangent, which, by the way, I'll do about 50 times. I've told people this before. If not for Hurricane Katrina, the Sonics would still be in Seattle. Because when Hurricane Katrina happened, which, by the way, I was in Starkville, Mississippi, doing a story on Travis Outlaw in the summer, which they would send us to do some things. We were doing a story on Joel Przybyla in Milwaukee, and then Travis on Travis Outlaw night at Starkville High School.
I remember that story you did. I remember that.
Yeah, so we were there, and the second half of the game starts, and we'd heard a storm was coming in. And it starts raining pretty good, and then they're saying, this is going to get pretty serious. So we were supposed to stay the night there and then fly out of Starkville to Atlanta and then go to Milwaukee. But we said, there was a couple guys with me, and we said, let's just drive to Atlanta overnight. Let's just drive. Let's leave now and beat this storm. Well, that was Katrina. Anyway, long story short, why I said about the Sonics, what I said is the New Orleans team then, the Hornets, they had to have somewhere to go because their arena was damaged by Katrina. So they moved them to a ready-made arena in Oklahoma City. And Chris Paul was there. They were a good team then, and the Oklahoma City fan base really showed out. Did a great job for a couple of years before they were going to move them. It was a dress rehearsal for them. They would not have been. Now, I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened, but I think it was a trial run for OKC. And their fans were good enough, and they showed that they were a market that was maybe worthy of a team. So when Clay Bennett, all this happened when I got to get a team now because this really worked here, went after, and Howard Schultz sold him the team and has since been not forgotten by Seattle fans that Schultz sold the team to Bennett, who never had the intention on keeping them in Seattle. All that to say, I don't think that happens here. I hope it doesn't. I'd hate to see that happen. I don't think it will. I think they'll get things worked out, and the team will hopefully stay.
You know, you had a great run with Mike Rice, of course, and people loved you guys. You were fun to listen to, easy to listen to. We're hearing now, of course, Kevin Calabro no longer with the team. He was their play-by-play guy.
And he's the one I was talking to before that Sonics game about the Sonics moving, and he was saying, they might go.
They might go.
No, I was back
he was
in the
feeling
day.
it.
Kevin's
but
a good guy.
You look anywhere, any Blazer sites now, they're calling for the return of this guy.
Bring Barrett back.
Bring Barrett back.
Yeah.
What would you do if they called you?
Well, as some people know, I'm the managing partner for the Portland Diamond Project, the effort to bring Major League Baseball to Portland.
We're going to get into that one, too.
That's where my focus is right now. Now, I am honored, I really am, humbled when my social media lights up with people saying things like that. Means a lot that they would take the time to say that and even have that desire. So I love that they are doing that, but I am very loyal to what I'm doing now. So I don't know. I never say never on anything, but
so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Well,
you can multitask. You can do maybe two things.
Yeah. So right now, my attention is solely focused on the Portland Diamond Project. But I hope everything works out with the Blazers. I think it will. And it's funny how much turnover has happened in the time that I've been gone. I don't know. We were entertaining a group through the baseball project this last season. I hadn't been to a game since, in a long time. I think it was probably four years ago. They had a night where they honored some past, and they had Damon Stoudemire, Travis Outlaw, Brandon Roy, and me. And Brandon couldn't make it at the last minute, but they brought us out to center court. Really a nice
Those were some fun years with all those names. That was a great time.
Really a nice thing for them to do. And I hadn't been to a game since then. And last year I was at a game. Middle of the season, it was just shocking how few people I knew. Joe Cronin, the GM, I knew. Joe was there when I was there, but not very many people. I know Dame, and I was happy to see him back. And so that was fun to see some people. But I saw some security people and
they're
ushers. I love, and that's I had deep ties with, and they knew my kids because my kids grew up in that arena. So once in a while, when we have high school graduations at the Coliseum, so my kids have both graduated the last 2 or 3 years, and my kids loved running around to each of the ushers who they used to know from Moda Center.
That's so cool.
Who were working that event. So that was neat.
I want to talk about Portland Diamond Project a little bit because it's an attempt to bring Major League Baseball to this fine city of ours. Where does that stand right now?
It stands. We're still confident. In fact,
how long has this been going on? This has been many years.
Now we knew that was going to take a while. Like when DC got their team. It took them 10, 11, 12 years.
Okay, and where are we in the process? 10 or so?
We're about 9.
9.
8 maybe. But a lot of people remember, when Russell Wilson and when Sierra joined us. And
are they still with you, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
But it was funny because we had an event for them at Baseballism in Northwest. And I remember we had planned to set it up well and do it right. Flew them around in a helicopter, called some, put out the word that he was going to be making an appearance. Well, the streets were jammed down there. Lots of Little League players, just people in the streets. I get home from that, and I was like, wow, what an event. I get home, and it's on the crawl on ESPN that night, MLB. So it was fantastic in that we did make a big splash when they joined. The bad part was people thought, oh, we got a team.
Yeah.
And we were trying to say, pump the brakes. This is going to be a process. And we can do everything right, which I think we've done most things right. We can do everything right and still not get a team because a lot of it is out of our hands.
Right.
So as we've always said, and it's kind of cliche, we control what we control in this. We can control in this whole thing, but for what we can control, and COVID was a slowdown. We were really going great, hitting events, going all over the state, had enthusiasm. Then COVID happens, so that kind of sidelined those kind of things. So then we kind of pulled back on the outreach, especially the media efforts to some degree, tried to ramp that back up and did. And then Portland had its share of issues, which I think I'm optimistic about the direction. I think that you can go through the economic policies and whatnot on ballparks and stadiums. We've seen it in the Lodo district in Denver, how much the ballpark brought that district back. The China Basin in San Francisco years ago. Gaslamp in San Diego with Petco. In Detroit is a great example of a city that was really on the outs, but it was the sports teams, a lot of reasons, but the sports teams going back. I never called a game in downtown Detroit. In fact, I went to Detroit for 17 years and I never saw downtown Detroit because we were in Auburn Hills.
Sure.
So you'd never even see
went
Detroit.
to the Palace.
Yeah. And so that's the last place I called a Pistons game was at the Palace. But a lot of those sports teams reinvesting and going back down to downtown Detroit. Ford Field with the Lions and the Tigers are back down there, of course, and the Pistons went back and the Red Wings went back downtown. So it was an economic driver in terms of what it did for the area and the ancillary development and the businesses. And so it lifted that city, I think, and that's my hope for Portland is, because the land that we have under contract now is South Waterfront, it's Zidell Yards, which is just right down here. And
the renderings look beautiful.
Yes, the renderings are fantastic. Populous is a fantastic. They do the best ballparks in the world, really. But I went to a meeting a couple of weeks ago with Portland Parks and Rec and a bunch of other. They're kind of talking about the waterfront, what they're going to do, and it was kind of a brainstorming meeting. And so we were showing the renderings, and a lot of people hadn't seen them, but connecting, the South Waterfront property with the waterfront. Continuing kind of, Portland has this great river running through it, and we don't really have any access to the river. You can't. The seawall's big. You can do it a little bit on the east side. But the development idea, OMSI's been great. We've talked to them a lot. The Tillicum Crossing would dump right into the ballpark. So in terms of getting to the ballpark, you would have light rail, you'd have the tram, you'd have streetcar, you'd have bus, whatever you want to do. So for that reason, it's a great site, and we all know that waterfront ballparks, a lot of people's favorite is PNC in Pittsburgh. It reminds a lot of people of that property. We had a USA Today writer out 2 weeks ago who had heard about the effort, and until he walked the property, he went, okay, I get it. This is phenomenal where this ballpark could be and what it could do, I think, for the city. And
so what does that mean with the timeline of getting a team? How does that all play?
Well, when we started, we said we were going after equally expansion or relocation. And the league said, when we went back to New York for those first set of meetings, we have to get Oakland settled and we have to get Tampa Bay settled. Well, Oakland now is fairly settled. And we had a cup of coffee there. But now it's expansion. And we know that it just depends on when they expand. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that may or may not be interesting. They're heading into a new collective bargaining agreement after this season. Okay. A lot of people are predicting there's going to be a significant work stoppage for next baseball season. It may start way late. There may not be one. Mm-hmm. We're curious to see what that does to the expansion effort. But we also know expansion brings with it some really healthy expansion fees, which can help put some of that lost revenue back in. So we're hoping, again, we've been saying this, and I know people's eyes roll when we say it. It takes 3 years to build a ballpark, from shovels in ground to being done. If they form an expansion committee, and I don't want to put words in MLB's mouth. They don't like when we do that. We've done that a few times. But if they form an expansion committee toward the end of this year, or when the work stoppage or when the new CBA negotiations start, the hope would be that perhaps by the fall or winter of next year,
27,
is when we hope they could be going through this bidding process. And it's funny because when we started, it was us in Montreal. Then it was us in Nashville as Montreal kind of faded away. Then it was Raleigh-Durham. Then there was some talk about San Antonio. Salt Lake City pops up, and they've done a great job at making it turnkey and getting a public-private partnership, which they did a good job of. Well, we've done that now here in Oregon with Senate Bill 110, which we got passed, which is essentially, a lot of people call it a jock tax, which it kind of is. That's kind of the term thrown around. The NBA had it. I mean, I had to pay not much taxes, but whenever we'd work in another city that had a jock tax, you have to pay income. So my tax return was like that, which is interesting. But it's a interesting way to pay the bond back, which helps the team. So it's more of a grant than a bond, I would say. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world when it comes to that stuff, but I loved that the state got on board with it. Okay. Both sides, it was, almost practically unanimous on both sides when that passed. So that money will sit there and would only come into play once the ballpark opens. But it would help pay to construct a ballpark.
Let me ask you this, because obviously we all talked about it. The city of Portland's going through some issues right now, have been for a number of years now. And the Blazers are obviously going through issues. All of that combined put a dent in your efforts when you look at these. You look at the MLB and they take a good look at the city of Portland and say, man, there's a lot happening there.
And on top of that, we've heard people have said, if Portland loses the NBA, if we lose Blazers, what does that do to MLB?
Do you think about that?
Yeah, sure, I do. And I think that, but then I look at there were some really smart people out there, a lot smarter than me in terms of investment. These guys tend to buy the dip. And I think that they're going to look at the market. And we ran the economic studies through CSL out of Dallas. And with Eco Northwest, we ran the numbers. And we didn't know what they'd come back like. Can we support a team? Is there enough both fan desire, which we know there is. I mean, Portland's baseball ratings are, I think it was, I don't have the stat. It's on our website, I think, or on our social media. But of the teams of last year's World Series, Portland had the highest TV ratings for the World Series of any city that didn't have a team in the World Series.
Oh, wow.
No kidding.
So you add up the MLB teams and the MLB cities, we've always done really well. There's a hunger here. There's for baseball. It's got great history too, which I thought I knew until we dug into it, and now I really understand it more. But yeah, it's a concern. MLB wants to go to a place where they know they're wanted. Yeah. And by passing some cities like San Francisco, their ballpark where the Giants play is privately funded with no bond, no city help, no government help. MLB wants to see that the city has skin in the game. So that was very good, both in terms of what it would supply money-wise, plus it was very symbolic. And that was a very good thing for us. Salt Lake City did the same thing. I think they had $600 million. Ours was $800 in terms of what the bonding capacity would be. Theirs was a little different than ours. I liked ours better. We had some smart guys craft it where it was not fronted by taxpayers. It's simply a bond paid back by the income tax for the home visit staffs and road. The same as I used to pay in the NBA. So it's a tool, it's a mechanism that doesn't do anything, and it's new money. It's not taking away from anything that already exists. So
you think by next fall we'll maybe hear if we're going to get
something, perhaps.
Maybe. Yeah. I've said that before, and I'd hate to put out timelines, but I would hope by next winter, depending on what happens with the CBA, we'll be in a better position to be able to have some news one way or the other.
Most important question of the day is, you played golf with Natali.
I did.
Is that what we're calling it, golf? We hung out 3 hours.
Tell me how that went, Mike.
Listen.
It was a few years ago.
And your memories faded by now.
I remember you were very good.
Thank you. Well, there were a lot of cocktails being served. It was like, it went from I don't remember okay to now it's very good. This is nice.
You got better as the day went on, perhaps just in my memory, because we had some beers
got stronger. I remember we used to do so many of those golf tournaments, right? And I would go put myself in 2 weeks worth of just crash course golf lessons really quickly, right? Because I was terrified of teeing off that first time with people around, just thinking, I just don't want to hurt anybody.
No, I remember you more than did yourself proud on the course.
You never talk about your golf prowess at all. You never speak of that. So I was a little bit surprised to hear him say that.
Yeah, I remember, I think this was the tournament that Joe Montana was in with us.
Could be.
So I remember that part of the day, right?
Yes. You don't remember playing with me. You remember Joe.
I remember it was best ball that we probably used.
Yeah, come on. There used to be and there still are some. But back in that day, there were so many of those tournaments.
Are a lot of them still happening? We're just not being invited to?
Yes.
I don't know.
They found out how I really golf, and I'm just not on the list.
They've seen the video.
There used to be so many of those tournaments.
Tell us about Weimar.
Yeah.
When did you get involved with them?
Man, I was going way back in the 90s. I was, to make a little extra money when you're working at KXL,
right?
You'd go and do radio remotes. And I started doing that once in a while when they would open a new Weimar store. And so I got to know Don, and who's the CMO for Weimar, and a lot of those people. And I was always, when I grew up in Albany, so Weimar was our Costco then. It was more charming too. It was just I loved it, and so I really enjoyed doing those things and working with those people. And then I had continued in a relationship with them into my Blazer days. We know they sponsor a lot of things. They do a lot of good. And they were sponsoring the Blazers at a certain level, and I had started to talk to them about perhaps cranking that up a little bit. And then they said, well, how about you start doing our commercials? So back, I don't even know what year this was. I want to say it was 2010 maybe, probably, maybe before that. So I started doing a lot of the on-screen stuff for Weimar. And then I still remember when we were all fired that day after the season, Rice and me and Antonio and this all happened. I was supposed to go from that meeting, which was supposed to be just a season wrap-up meeting. Then they dropped the hammer on all of us. I was supposed to go from that meeting to go do some voice work for Weimar. And I called them and I said, hey, this just happened. And they said, yeah, we heard it because it was on the news before I got to my car, which was also uncomfortable. But they were one of my first phone calls. And I said, I don't suppose you want me to do this now. And they said, what are you talking about? I said, we got you for you, not because you're the Blazer guy. So maybe because I was needing something like that at that moment, some affirmation, because you're broken at that point. I told them that day, I said, I'm a lifer for you guys because I'm a big one for loyalty. And they said that at that time. I love those guys. I love that whole company. And I'm doing their spots in Washington and Idaho and Oregon now. And it's not something that it's something I do because I love them.
Any deals going on right now, Weimar, we should know about?
I'll tell you tomorrow because Tuesday I usually read the savings book.
You let them know, send them some text.
But the funny thing is I'm now doing, my daughter goes to Boise State, and I've got a lot of family in the Boise area because that's where I was born. And so the last round of spots, I flew over there a month and a half ago. So I'm actually on TV now in the Boise area, but not here.
Oh, wow.
So my daughter's like, hey, you're on
There's
TV in Boise. Yeah, it's funny.
Well, you have a lot of Blazer loyal fans, too, who aren't going to stop until they get you back courtside, right, calling those games. So I would imagine, especially after this airs, you're going to keep hearing from people, Mike, and we're going to do our part to make that happen.
Well,
yes, we are. So good to have you on the program.
Yeah,
really. Do you play the piano by chance?
I don't.
Oh, jeez.
Why?
Probably about
Do you?
Wait, it's not even there.
It's
over there.
They moved
it. Yeah.
Oh, nice
here's the deal. So all of our guests that come on, we ask if they play the piano. Carrie Timchuk, the Oregon Historical Society.
He's worked with the baseball a little bit on his.
Of course he has.
On history. He's incredible.
The guy is amazing.
He's amazing. Smartest guy I've ever.
4-time Jeopardy champion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. So we asked him toward the end of the program, by chance you play the piano? Yeah, of course I do.
Of course he does.
Jumps up. What did he play?
Crazy. I still remember it because,
Crazy.
It was crazy.
No kidding.
Guy can do anything. It's amazing.
It's super fun catching up with you.
Yeah,
hearing what's going on. Thanks for the update on Diamond.
And I miss you
project.
guys on. It's different now than it used to. I mean, obviously everything's changed, but
but now we get to sit and talk and do this.
I know. Well, TV's changed. So has radio.
Yeah.
And so when you think back to 90s and early 2000s, kind of when I was, you guys were on TV and I was on radio, it was just so different now with streaming. And there's some good things with it. The podcasts have been fantastic. Yeah. They've changed the approach, the way we look at media now and the way we look at truth now. So I love this whole era of podcasts, and I find new ones every day that I listen to.
The long format, talking to people and truly having a conversation that's more than just a 15-second soundbite.
Break in 10, 9
rap,
in your ear.
rap, which we're getting right now, but still.
Right.
Well, let's the three of us go golfing sometime.
Let's do it. I will show you. I will show you how to golf. I'll teach you some things.
What did you say? You're fantastic. What was the last one?
She's actually really good, I think.
Really good?
That was the first thing I said, and she's hung up on that. She's really good for anybody. She's good. Solid.
Awesome.
Yes.
I can't wait to see it.
Better take another couple quick lessons.
Mike Barrett's with us. You come back anytime you want.
I would love to.
Absolutely. We can't wait to see what happens next for you.
Yeah, for sure.
The Blazer fans aren't giving up. So we'll see.
I love them.
Thanks for watching, folks. Good seeing you too, Nat.
Have a great day.
Never miss an episode of Steve Dunn and Natali Marmion Off the Air.
Stream every episode at KXL.com or listen wherever you get your podcasts on all major podcast platforms.
Whether you're at home, on the road, or on the go, it's never been easier to hear the conversations with the people who have helped shape Oregon and Southwest Washington.